Bliss really want Triple R to lose this game.
Yeah. Triple R have, well, done a little bit of copycatting coming into this game.
They have.
As you could already see in the chat from Lettuce Log, and as you can see on the scoreboard, you've got Potato Pinku, Tomato Tuhan, Edamame Eddie, Navy Bean Nate, and Lettuce Log.
What is a Navy Bean?
I don't know, but they've clearly gone for food categories in terms of the naming convention.
I like it.
For Triple R, and I like it. It's a little bit of fun. It's tasteful, and obviously it's paying homage to what has been a very fun naming convention from the Carlton's Knights for this stage.
So what would you use for me, Jake?
It would put me on the spot there. There's a couple I would probably use for you that I don't think I could say on broadcast.
You've got to be a little bit careful. What about Zigzag Xenox?
Oh, I tell you what, mate. Have you kept that in the back of your head the last 5 minutes?
Sometimes I can cook. It's not often.
I tell you what, you've come up big there. You've golden brown that one. You know, because you've cooked it well.
Golden brown guz.
Oh,
there you go.
Jeez.
Just like that.
I've just cooked it. I didn't even realize. Either way, navy bean. It is a dry white bean that is smaller than many other types of white beans.
Sounds like Nate.
It sounds like Nate. Or does it, really? Maybe it's the opposite. I don't know. We'll see. Let's get into this one, though, because it does...
It's actually quite a serious game.
It does actually have a lot of permutations and a lot of ramifications for these two respective teams. Now, Triple R is currently stands top of the standings. 2 points clear of Team Bliss. They play later on tonight, of course. But this is a big game because Carlton's Knights, well, they beat Team Bliss, what was it, back on like Play Day 1? So they have the capabilities of taking down these top teams. They've also played a lot of Cafe. When we think about the map itself, this is the kind of map that these veterans, these washed pros that don't play the game, they'll always remember how to play Cafe.
Triple R, though, should be able to rise to the occasion. But will they succumb to the pressure? That's the question. Carlton's Knights have a knack for making games incredibly tight and competitive. And they generally actually play a decent brand of Siege that seems to work decently well. So we'll see how this one ends up shaping up. Triple R on the attack first, so all the initiative is on them. And like I sort of joked about a little bit, Team Bliss, they'll be sitting back, they'll be watching this game, and they are very much hoping that...
Are they watching it?
They might not be watching it, but they will be keeping a keen eye on the result.
So that means they're watching it?
They don't want Triple R to get points, Jake.
I know they don't. Them watching it makes no difference, though, does it?
Well, no, it doesn't.
Would they not be
just like
preparing
us
for their
watching
next
it?
game, which is... Who are Team Bliss actually playing tonight?
Bandits.
Ooh, that's a good one. Not really.
The last team in the standings and the only team that, at least going into the night, could not make first place.
Yeah. So, well, this is the thing. Bliss are expected to win that game. If they get the 3 points and Triple R lose this game, Bliss would then take top spot. Now, of course, Bliss and Triple R, they still play each other on the very last play day. It was supposed to be play day 3. That's been postponed. We will get that, though. And it's really probably saved the best until last. Now, very much keeping our focus on this, though. We see a Montang top red for Triple R. That's Navy Bean Nate. And it is a bar cocktail site for Carlton's Knights. Not expecting probably a whole lot to happen over the next 30, 40 seconds. Bit of posturing. Obviously for Triple R, they're going to want to get that lounge control. Lettuce Log just outside train at the moment. Along with Tomato Tuhan.
So logical to sit and wait for a potential bakery run out here. That's to protect those on the western rappel. Said attackers, though, have already made decent ground, and this is some good pressure early on. An intriguing setup from the Knights. A line of sight deep through backstore. I presume there's a mirror window top white looking into this, so Tuhan needs to be mindful of the swing, and as you can see, Azami holding down the line. That also means that Pixel's a key position for the defense to hold, as the Monty will probe over towards shop. Tuhan, key player in the round. If he can unlock the hallway here, it really does unravel this defense.
45 seconds remaining. Washrooms being held along with top white at the moment as well for Carlton's Knights. And that Montang has gone all the way in towards Cocktail. That's good old Navy Bean Nate. Deep into sight. Pings go out. He's like a live drone. Pinging out Campo. Pulls out the pistol. And a perfectly timed swing for Triple R has fully unlocked this site. They get a flawless round on Bar Cocktail.
Yeah, good work there from Tomato Tuhan to get the final kill.
That was beautiful siege.
For some very unserious names in the lobby going into this game. I tell you what, that attack was very clean and concise from RRR. They leaned into the Monty, they got good space lounge, they were playing it very, very cautious of the jump out early on the rappel. Nate got some really good space, applied great pressure there onto Campo, who succumbed to it, and just overall looking very, very sharp in round one.
A lot of that round really is just RRR locking down a lot of those key 1v1s, getting in good positions to fight those 1v1s, and all executing at the same time. And evidently all winning those fights at the same time. So Bar Cocktail, not successful for Carlton's Knights. They head downstairs for this particular round, over towards Kitchen. Not changing really too much up with that lineup. Still bringing the Azami, the Solus now as well for good old jumping Josh. And the Montang to be played by Logic. Obviously, known fragger, found 2 in that last round. He switches on to the Montang, and Nate switches on to the Hard Breach, of which he is the only one, but secondary is available through Tuhan on the Capital, and they've got the Glaz. So again, RRR cooking here on Cafe. And I think if they're really smart, they know that this is a tough matchup. They know this is not going to be a walk in the park. You've got to give the respect to Carlton's Knights, despite the fact that, yeah, maybe they don't have a whole lot of in-game time anymore, but they're still formidable opponents and clearly have shown that throughout this stage. For Carlton's Knights, you lose this, you 100% cannot go to the major. The gap will be far too big.
So nice impact there in response from the Knights. That's 3 Summers down. In fact, I believe that's now all of them burnt. So actually, in the util department here from the Knights, quite clean. Now, the Vulcan canisters have been expended quite early on, so this does create a 20-second buffer that RRR will need to wait out. But once those flames expire, expect Logic to get far more aggressive here. Now, we may also see a pivot elsewhere from RRR, and talk about pivot. An early reinforcement off here. Vinny has been put on an island. We'll see if he can find a pick. But as you can see, under a world of pressure, Logic continues to push forward, but the smack from Vinny,
nice.
He gets the kill. No!
Wow.
He loses the fight! My word, Logic got away with that one. And with a minute 30 on the clock, RRR have the advantage.
Yeah, that's a big miss from Vincia. Really would have probably opened the map up for Carlton's Knights to close out had you dealt with that Montang. Now, the Montang stays alive is still a very significant win condition here for RRR. Full prep control off the back of that allows Potato Pinku to obviously push in with that diffuser on the Glaz, and he can get some good sightlines as well. Now, off behind the Montang. Oh, Campo, that's basically locking him in towards Kochek. Keep a barrier dealt with anyway, very, very quickly. Nice angle found from Logic, wow. Even with the Montang, he has still found 2 kills in the round. And then provides that forward pressure. Wow, RRR are meaning business here on Cafe. One of their biggest statement starts to a match, I think, this stage for a team that's obviously been so dominant all stage long, guys, undefeated. Their only blemish being an overtime win. And sure, there's been some other games, Mammoth, for example, 7-5, but I mean, they've been so dominant. This, to me, though, these 2 rounds, the best we've seen them all stage long.
And Logic, you're putting your 1.9 KD player on the shield and he's still having such an impact like that and finding picks. That 1v1 onto Vinny, how does he, I don't know how he won this. Vinny thought he won the fight too. He only got it down to half HP.
That is incredible.
And Vinny, he can't believe it.
What?
That was my reaction. I could not believe it either.
Yeah,
he got put on that island. They reinforced him off. Vinny needed to try and find at least one to get value.
I think he thought he downed him. And that's
100%.
He thought he downed him. And
sure.
the fact that he was only half health.
Yeah. Bit of a miscalculation.
Staggering. Yeah, either way, you got to just move on from that one. Can't let that affect you mentally. For Vinny, it's a 0-2 start. Well, he's not the only one, though. The entire team, besides Campo, they've only got the 1 kill through the 2 rounds that have been played so far. Another big attacker repick for RRR. Nate's back onto the Montang. Logic with the Ash now. He found 2 kills on the Monty. You can imagine what he's going to now do as well on the Ash. 4-0 start, and RRR 2 attacking rounds on Cafe. I think we build this up a little bit. Even on the couch, this was one that we were looking forward to for tonight. Certainly not the kind of game that, when we got the fixture, that you circled it in immediately and was like, oh, this is a massive one, but it's still a big game. Carlton's Knights at the moment 3rd place on the standings, 7 points. If they win this in regulation, they're only 1 point behind RRR.
I mean, the first 2 rounds, RRR are showing how you attack against the Knights and what other teams failed to do so well. You go direct, you keep it simple, you watch for the cheese. Every round they're watching for runouts, every round they're being careful of flanks, but at its core, these pushes have been very simple, often centering around, you know, the Montang in this round and the previous round as a primary win condition. They're not overcomplicating it. They back themselves in with the synergy they've got and the experience and the play time that they have to win out these rounds with just that raw ability. I will say though, that was a bit of a blemish on their good grade so far. Pat allowed to make that play underneath the hatch will punish the Montang. And this is where we see the resilience from RRR. Can they now pivot? Can they find win conditions with the Montang down, with the Diffuser on an island, with a man disadvantage? This is where the going gets tough.
And that's when they get going. Tuhan opens up. I can never kill onto Campo. Pat drops pillars. Low on health. Josh just getting sort of peppered over towards mining, courtesy of Pinko. Top red and Diffuser still in a good position towards shot. Worthy pixel position. Tuhan just oversteps with the sideways movement. He gets caught a little bit, still alive, but very low in health. And the 4v4 for what really does feel like the best opportunity now for the Carlton's Knights. Being deep in towards Cocktail as the last man standing role. Worthy though, he's trying to play that forward contact, playing that pixel position.
Ooh.
Needs to stay alive, needs to keep that pressure on. That nade should be good, and it is. Tuhan basically vaulted straight back into it. Advantage for Carlton's Knights here. Should win out, you would imagine. Should.
Logic though, he's still alive. One of the top frags in the league so far. There's a bait, there's distraction.
Nah, no
Logic
way.
capitalizes upon it, but he's now in the 1 versus 3 with the shield still standing at Pixel and Worthy.
Nah.
Echoes of greatness from him over towards Pixel.
Yeah, he's not that good, Logic. He's good, don't get me wrong, but not winning that. Not in a 1v3, not from that position. And not with that sort of lack of time. Still, even despite that, the win for Carlton's Knights, not necessarily as clean any way, shape, or form as the first 2 from RRR, but they don't have to be. They don't have to be flawless. They don't have to be super clean. If anything, for Carlton's Knights, gritty round wins is good enough. Just kind of stay, keep it close, and maybe try and bring RRR down to your level. Turn it into a little bit of a ranked TDM, if you will. Don't allow them to get these sort of setup executions, especially on a map like Cafe. Back down the kitchen. And at least now with a win under their belt. 1 on the board, and it's a good start now for Carlton's Knights to build off of this. The biggest thing though, don't let Vinny get stuck on the island of Bakery once again to get overwhelmed. Now, no Montang this time around for RRR, but once again they bring the Capitan, the Glass, so a very similar mindset in terms of how they want to approach this round. Never mind, they changed it up completely. Wow, really completely. They bring in the Grim.
Lion Grim. So perhaps more explosive. It could also be indicative of actually a map clear.
I feel like a vert clear. Like,
yeah, double soft breach, so probably.
They thought about the Ram for a second as well, but opted to not bring those Boogie Auto breaches. I imagine they're going to look to try and get Train and Mining control, open up the floorboards, put pressure on site. Vinny still holding the same position over towards Bakery. Worthy just lingering in towards Prep. What is this angle from Logic? So, 2-1 lead at the moment for RRR. And clearly have looked very strong for that last round. Just some of the shine had been polished off by Carlton's Knights, and certainly feels like we've got a game. Gemini drops Skylight, gets a good look in over towards Cocktail. Josh has not been droned out, playing the Solus. Only the 2 drones that have been destroyed so far. I think RRR's been pretty good in the drone game to begin with, and Josh is now forced to drop down through Train in towards Dining, and it's Worthy that gets the opening kill onto Tuhan. So RRR trying to play into this. They're fine to take this first floor roam fight around the sort of Train, Mining, Reading area. White Stairs is a bit of a battle as well. I don't know who this really favors, but it does at least buy Carlton's Knights some time.
Josh will look to put up a final stand on the roam here near the hatch. A good read there from RRR. They don't feed him a pick. Josh forced back towards Coffee. Now on site. Nate couldn't quite catch him. He's still outside garage.
So the thing with Josh there on the Solus, he's playing this sort of, again, trench warfare. He'll hold a position, he'll fall back. He'll hold a position, he'll fall back. But he's doing it on the Solus. That's kind of hard to drone him out then. so he can buy some time. He has kind of given up a lot of these positions without really committing too much or over-committing. Does keep him alive, and I think you do that because it's a 5v4. You've got that extra player advantage. You've already, wasted some time. Now it's a minute left. They'll get to work in towards mining and train, and obviously dining and open up these floorboards and try and put pressure on site. And this is obviously where the Grim can also be quite handy with the Quad Hive launcher. Get those bees buzzing and try and clear out some positions. So, job done for Triple R. You don't have the sledge, but it doesn't matter because you get the buck anyway. Secondary hard breaches too to open up the hatches that are necessary to open. Is there going to be a counter-punch, though, from Knights? The big thing, though, for me is over towards VIP.
Oh!
Pounce and Pat. It's wobbling worthy, though, with a headshot onto Pinku. So another kill. Two-player advantage. Player in towards Pillars, and Worthy spots an elbow onto Eddie. Does win the fight. And that should now be the round for the Knights as well, as Logic takes a tumble towards bot white. Nate, though, has 3. Needs 5 to win the round, but only has 15 seconds and will need to get the plant down safely, quietly. Does just bait them out, but that gives him even less time. And Campo, yes, baited into the shot, but he hits it.
Okay, now we're in for a good game. I felt after the first 2 rounds that Triple R were going to be dominant, but that is not the case. Going for the map clear there, they lost the first pick. Worthy, very much in form today. Hit 2 extremely nice shots there. Again, I'm not convinced that the value that Grim brings to teams, it didn't do anything there.
It's better.
You locked down the hallway, but no one was going to swing that anyway. You had a player inside VIP, he already has line of sight, and you didn't clear Whiskey, so that meant Worthy could play deep. So again, a couple of mistakes there being exploited by the defense, and Carlton's Knights showing that they have experience, obviously, on this map. Doesn't matter. You go Bakery direct. We've seen that before. You go from map clear, we can deal with that. We'll send Josh and Worthy on their way. And Triple R need to tidy up.
It's been a massive game, though, from Worthy. 6-2 to begin with. Josh, 0-3, and he's probably been their best player stage long for Carlton's Knights. So, room for improvement for the Knights. And as you said, though, now it certainly does feel like it's game on here. 2-2 scoreline. 2 rounds to go in the first half. I do still get the sense of feeling that Carlton's Knights will need to very much edge out this first half. 4-2 would be the dream. 3-3, not really completely awful, considering where both of these two sides are at. And need I remind you guys, but round differential, we spoke about it last night, it's still as ever important, even in a game like this, that Triple R find a way to win these kind of matches, win them cleanly. Don't allow this to go to OT, don't allow this to even be a 7-5. Otherwise, Bliss can make up that round diff.
So Logic on the sledge this round. Continues to post up good numbers today, and we expect that trend to continue. Top floor looking decently clear, so I don't think this is going to take too long for Pinku to scout out the Gemini. Campo, though, is over towards Pixel. Hundo over towards the top white window. If he times his strike well, he might be able to find a kill, but there is going to need to be pressure. There is going to have to be information on that white hallway for him to actually get value.
Pinku with a drone over towards Lounge. Worthy once again makes his way down white. Wow, talking about timing. That's careful when you shoot back.
Oh!
But he shoots back perfectly. Ooh. Worthy takes the risk, and it pays off handsomely to find the kill onto Tuhan. No Lion. Carlton's Knights now just starting to snowball some momentum here on Cafe, and Vincia deep inside a cocktail. The shots, though, can't land, as they have failed to do so for the majority of the stage. Unfortunately for Vincia, 1-5 now in this match. Josh not really any better at 0-3, but you know, he's going to rise to the occasion. 4 versus 4. Campo takes the position of Cocktail, and he gets moving. That's a head that's spotted onto Pinku, and eventually take it off from Campo. Having a good game, stays alive, and has a Kiba barrier to still utilize.
Well, there's no cocktail pressure here from Triple R, so Campo can just sit here. He's not having to be aware of the rappel behind him. The windows aren't even opened up, so there's 0 perceived pressure here from Triple R. Unfortunately, quite one-dimensional here from the attack, who now find themselves at disadvantage. Fortunately for them, though, they do still have Logic alive. Still not content that Cocktail is clear, though, which is a concern. 3 drones remain, and Economy is going to be tough with the souls up. But Logic now will want to get to work on the vert. as he believes it's clear, but Josh is just lurking over towards White Stairs, yet to open his account in this game, but he catches Logic.
Wow.
Unaware. It's a 2 versus 4, and this should be a Carlton's Knights round to take the lead.
Well, it's not quite panic stations just yet for RRR, but arguably since those first 2 rounds have elapsed, it's been all the Carlton's Knights. Clean from Nate, though. Navy B Nate's been very, very good. He'll try and stick this plant. It should get tonight, though. Pounce and Pat has the ping and the information and the headshot to follow off of that. 3 rounds in a row for Carlton's Knights. There's a story that is brewing here on Cafe. A spot to the major always on the line when these 2 teams are playing. Bliss potentially watching on to see what this means for them and their fate. And this moment here, so big to get rid of Tuhan. Worthy to win that fight, keep White Stairs under control. Campo stands up, took the position of Cocktail after Vinny fell. Carlton's Knights firing on all cylinders, but 1 round to go to close the half out.
Carlton's Knights win today. It puts them on 10 points. They would then need Bliss to lose their next 2 games. Pretty much, so very unlikely. Carlton's do versus Bandits though last play day, so that is going to more than likely be a win for them.
And RRR play Bliss. What if there's a world in which they go to OT or something crazy happens? There's still a lot to play out. This is still a big moment for both of them. I will say though, for RRR, if they lose this, it's not as if they lose the ability to go to the major, because they still get to play Bliss. You win that, you probably go through.
Yep.
So, but it still throws a spanner in the works, doesn't it? This is not ideal to lose this game. Not ideal for the round differential either. That's something to keep in mind. And just puts Carlton Knights back into that conversation. You lose this though for Carlton's Knights, and I think you can probably put a line through them for that #1 spot. Most likely from what's left remaining in the schedule. But they win this, suddenly right back in the conversation. Claymore spotted on that bakery roof. Courtesy of the Solus in play by Josh, who found his first kill of the game in that last round. I must say though, regardless of the points and the standings, if RRR lose this game, Bliss would be just filled with confidence that they're going to be able to close this stage out. That they will sense that RRR are vulnerable.
Yeah, blood in the water moment for the Sharks of Bliss, you would imagine at the moment. But obviously it is a Cafe attack, so we have to taper expectations somewhat. RRR could jump on defense and have a field day. Obviously time will tell. Josh is just giving a little bit of perceived pressure on the balcony, using that scanner. He can see that there are Claymores though pre-positioned, so if he jumps out he needs to guarantee that he gets a kill because he will be traded by the util. Triple stack Red Hatch, Pink Hooded fall first. No shop extension here from the defense, very much more focused on that pixel position deep over towards Lounge. The mirror is not being played this time though by Carlton's Knights. And that's why they have reinforced 1 wall leading into backstore. I'm just waiting for Josh to really come alive in this game though. Only 1 kill in 5 rounds. But he continues to lurk around and be a threat that the attack needs to be mindful of. Chuhan cooks a grenade. This position will be exposed by the ex-Kairos in a moment. Campo needs to make a decision if he commits or falls back, and he goes for the ladder.
Logic to get control of Pixel, and now that white hallway as well. Oh, what a shot onto Vincia. Vinny can't stay alive in this server, in this match. He's not welcome. Player still top white, but it is RRR that are finding all of the kills at the moment. Tuhan on the sledge opens up that floor. Oh, Pat, very lucky to probably be alive. Just falls back into freezer. Ever mounting pressure from Tuhan. Well, Josh, you wanted him to make a mark. He's going to have to make a very big one to win this round. 1 versus 4. Gets 2. 2 more to go, and he finds the 3rd. Jumping Josh. Does he know he's gone? Oh, Joshua! There's your mark, guys! It's been made well and truly!
Well, it took him a little bit of time to warm up to this match. But what a way to end the half in such an explosive fashion, leaving Triple R shell-shocked. They won the first 2 rounds of this attacking half in such a convincing fashion, but they lose it from here. A 1 versus 4. They knew where he was, and they just fed him 1 by 1. They could have gone for the default plan and covered the crosses, but they went for the kill. They got punished.
Oh, look at Logic. Vinny's obviously just shell-shocked. Another day at the office low for Josh, and obviously you pointed it out. You know, he started 0-3. He was 1-3 going into that game, in that round. You felt like, where was he? You were waiting for him to really get involved. He's statistically been their best player all stage long. And boy, does he make his moment. If that doesn't fire you up, I don't know what else can.
Well, I started looking at stats because I thought the round was over, and then I look up and Josh is in the midst of a 1v4. I was like, oh, I was completely discombobulated.
1-6 though for Vinny. Does he find his way back into this game, or is it too far gone?
Just leave it to Josh.
Just leave it to Josh.
Vinny doesn't need to get kills.
Well, Josh and Worthy, 2 former MVPs, 2 former Titans of this region, leading the way at the moment for Carlton's Knights. It's a 4-2 lead going into the second half. They now have to attack, though, into Cafe. Never an easy feat. What have they got cooked up here on the attack as we make our way in? It's all snowy.
That pressure, that tension, it just rises a little bit. What will Triple R be able to offer on their defensive Cafe? So they're leaning into the mirror. This time from washrooms in towards that default position. No shop extension, no lounge extension with the Azami. I think Carlton's Knights are going to be grinning at that prospect. They're going to quickly take shop here into lounge.
Is this a mental battle, though, where you think, okay, well, there's no one shop, there's no one lounge, no real sort of massive holdover towards Pixel, even nothing new bulk. What are they doing then? Do you then start to overthink a little bit?
Oh, this is very sneaky from Josh. On the rappel, white hallway. Not looking to give away a sound cue. He's probably thinking about cooking a nade into this position.
Trying to clear out this washroom, bounces it off. There's a player in there.
Oh!
It gets...
Oh! Oh, jeez. Thought he walked into it.
Did that land...
Oh!
Eddie!
Eddie!
Did that nade land on the shelf?
I think it like landed inside
like in the shelf? Like in the... Yeah, that was crazy.
Good mag placement there from Nade. He saves his life. And a really good response with the Nitro. That's great aggression there from Eddie.
Josh tries to make a play. Well, you said leave it up to Josh for Vincier. Vincier now needs to make his own mark in this round. Minute 10, it's been a very slow attack from Carlton's Knights. They haven't really done a whole lot with arguably what's been given to them in the fact that lounge and shop and all of that has been well and truly under control. Flashes out from Campo. Just being a nuisance on to Addy, and that nade
he survives again.
Survives. Can you believe it? They are probably wondering, how is this guy still alive? Washroom's technically cleared. He's not playing it anymore, but they wanted to find the kill. A kill that they could not achieve onto Edamame Eddie. Worthy with a creep through pillars. There is a player in towards Reading. Logic, does he know that Worthy's making his way through? He might not. He will, though, once these shots come out from Worthy. Logic turns his attention. 20 seconds. Time is well and truly the biggest factor of them all. And as soon as Pat tried to pounce in towards sight, he loses his life to Eddie. Vinny can't hit anything at the moment, 1 and 7. And it's a flawless round from Triple R in the 7th round to start the second half.
5 seconds remaining.
3-4 and game on.
A heroic effort there from Eddie. Under so much pressure in that round, but he sustains all of that damage. In the late round, got back to the dock and back up to HP like it never happened. Great kill with the Nitro. We also saw him have an impact later on in towards default. Carlton's Knights with the last-ditched attempt tried to get in towards that objective. So yeah, the nade landing inside of the shelf. Nitro immediately in response. Josh caught off guard. And then those mirror windows posing problems.
10 seconds remaining.
Worthy committed down below to the lurk. Never actually saw him engage with Logic, but probably would have lost the fight anyway. Good response from Triple R over to Reading for round 8.
The one concern for me is that is once again another sort of flawless round from RRR. Just the way in which they sort of controlled that round, won that round. Obviously, there was a key focus on clearing out that washroom's position. Eddie just magically able to stay alive. And then the nitro cell that he was able to hit onto Josh really just sort of was a twist of the dagger into the heart of the Knights. So 8th round. I mean, one thing that regardless of happens from here is round diff for RRR is not going to be that amazing off the back of this game. So something to keep in mind if that does become a factor at the conclusion of the final play date. Pinku with a little spawn peek attempt.
I've seen him do that. I've seen him do that like 3 times, and I've never seen him get a kill.
But there's that one day it'll work. If you keep doing it long enough, it'll work one day, right? I mean, statistically,
yeah,
it might take 10 years.
Just like you casting an SI.
No, I've done SI remotely. One time SI remote custom. Maybe next year's the year, guys.
Maybe. Both of these squads as well eager to have an international campaign, and none more so than RRR. Currently top in the league, and this is their opportunity to further cement that position leading into what will likely be the RRR Bliss matchup at the end of the stage for a spot at the major. Bit of a shaky end to the first half, but they've solidified things in round 7. A good defensive effort, and they'll be looking to back that up again here over towards Reading with an extension up above. Once again, the mirror window's in play, and as you can see for Pat, zoning out that lounge position, making it difficult to gain ground.
Yeah, they need to deal with him probably from that position. Oh, what a nitro cell again. That one from Pinku. That just leaves you scratching your head. Now what do you really do? They needed to clear that mirror from just outside Cocktail on the rappel, and then you cop a nitro cell to the face, and that probably undoes the round. So difficult to get this lounge control, or at least establish it nicely. They could just rush through sight though. Oh, no, the nitro cell. 3 rounds, well, 2 rounds in a row where these nitro cells have now found 3 kills minimum. Vincia has at least made his way in towards Cocktail. He can start to open up the floorboards on the buck. 50 seconds left. Drop down from Josh in towards Pillars. Not a lot of time. Down a player. Someone needs to just rise to the occasion here. Worthy, Josh. I mean, arguably the 2 best players on the team. Josh is not really wanting to probably make too much of a step too early on and make a misstep. Just playing calm and measured, and a head was spotted. But Logic wins that battle. 7-4 now for Logic. And speaking of 4, it should just about be 4-4 at the conclusion of this round. Vinny finally back on the score board, but no, not for long. And yeah, that round was arguably over probably 30, 40 seconds ago. And the start of the round was the biggest issue for Carlton's Knights. Just the inability to really push through lounge. That mirror setup really cost them, and unable to get that initial clear from the rappel and then cop a nitro cell. Reminds me of the washrooms from the last round with the nitro cell from Eddie. So 2 rounds in a row now where 2 moments they're trying to make something happen, and it's RRR that had that counterpunch ready to go.
10 seconds.
Yeah, the nitro hit rate at the moment really good from RRR. Gave them some nice breathing room towards the end of that previous round. Decent little attempt there. The trio of Josh, Worthy, and Vinny tried to cook something up. Vinny was good for 1, but then got caught in the middle of sight. Didn't quite know where to put the plant down, and there was a flank coming through Pillar anyway. So it would have been a RRR round that was really just extended towards the back end there by the attack. To kitchen we go, and RRR will be very much eyeing off a perfect rotation to kick things off. Nate bringing the clash for this particular round. Now we'll see if Knights spot that out, and if they are going to bring anyone to hard counter that. Campo jumps onto Zofia. No, jumps off. Capitao instead can still be used to flush out that clash, so I presume, and Nate often shows that he plays, you know, quite an active clash. Pretty much wherever the attack is posturing from, he's going to go there and make life difficult for them.
Well, it feels like a big round here. For the second time in this match, RRR have gone on and won 2 rounds rather convincingly. The opening 2 rounds and now the previous 2 rounds that we've just watched. First time around, Calton's Knights were able to respond and responded very well. 4 rounds in a row themselves. But a lot of their rounds weren't clean. I mean, it took a 1v4 from Josh to even find one of their rounds. That's a very early destroy of the deployable shield. Courtesy, of course, of those Roteros from Vincia. So who's going to respond? Who's going to stand up now for Calton's Knights? Attacking is going to be an issue for them on this particular map. If they can't win Kitchen here, they don't win this map. This is a must-win round in my mind. To at least get to 5, to at least force a bit more of a rotation of the sites. You lose this, it's very unlikely that you will win this map. Tuhan playing the more aggressive position at that bakery position. Top red from Campo. And a clash that does need to be dealt with from Nate.
So how do they pick it apart here on the side of the attack? That's really the question at the moment. A lot of focus up above, and all 5 members of the defense, funnily enough, actually not contesting this map clear, which is intriguing from RRR. I would have backed them in to pull something offside, at least have some aggression, especially on a map like Cafe, which is naturally very difficult to drone for the attack.
It's a Yokai gone.
And no one's playing off it. So that's a little bit strange there from Logic. I guess they're trying to get some kind of read as to where they're looking to rotate.
He's dead now anyway.
Should be obvious at this point. Josh gets the first. And RRR, I wouldn't say scared is the right way to describe the way in which they're playing this at the moment, but they're just giving Calton's Knights way too much ground for free.
Vinny's got to be careful. Yeah, just completely caught. Game awareness at a level 0 from Vincia. Breaks the barricade. You've got to expect a swing. There's no pressure from Small. There's no pressure in Bakery at all. Nothing from above. So that player in Bakery can start to move around and be aggressive. And Vincia's basically just opened the door. 2 and 9, really struggling in this match. 4 versus 4 though. I worry, how do you clear Nate? What do you do in dealing with Nate?
Capital. It's got to be, I think, at this point.
Still has incendiary, still has smokes available. There are a couple of front grenades too from the side of Josh and Campo. But Gas Babes from Eddie, the VIP position still under lock and key, and now stuck in towards Freezer. Gas Babes to be thrown out, but the clash has been dealt with from Campo. Eddie, though, with an SMG-11, puts away the shotgun. And now Josh has also lost his life to Pinku. RRR have got themselves an advantage. Pat pushes in, but into red time and loses his life to Pinku as well. Picked apart at the seams from RRR.
Well, it was a scary start for the defense with Logic giving his life away, but some good proactive defense from Tuhan caught Vinny off guard. So that was a big win for RRR. I would argue as well, the clash had limited impact. Calton's Knights actually dealt with that. Campo was still posted up on the vert, but that VIP position proving to be too challenging for the attack to clear. So some positive signs there for the Knights about the round, but it just didn't quite connect. Eddie wasn't cleared. Pink as well got in the action. And with Whiskey also occupied by the defense, it was going to be a challenging plan.
Yeah, questions have to be asked there. What was the game plan from probably both teams? It just kept changing and evolving really as the round went on. 0 pressure from Bakery outside of Vinny destroying the barricaded door. That was it, and then he tried to rotate off and probably was not expecting to get swung on. So 5-4.
What do you reckon Vinny's eating? A tomato Tuhan after the last round?
Tomato. Maybe a lettuce log.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, RRR's been the better team, right? I think that's pretty fair to say. It took a monumental 1v4 from Josh for this to not be a 6-3, which I think is probably a more apt and fair scoreline for this particular match. They're on the defense. We head up to Bar Cocktail. Everything probably points to RRR closing this game out. 7-4, 7-5. I think even 7-4 is still very, very likely. I haven't seen enough from Calton's Knights on the attack to suggest that they're going to be able to break down this defense of RRR. Cafe is not the kind of map where you can go hard and fast and try and, you know, brute force your way onto site. You've got to clear. You've got to deal with Vert. There's a lot that you kind of have to do, even if you don't want to do it. And you can see Calton's Knights are trying to clear these positions in sort of unconventional manners, the way that they tried to deal with washrooms, tried to deal with the cocktail pressure. And both times failed. So anytime they've tried something, in this half, it's come up short, and that's a concern for me.
Well, if you're concerned, I'm concerned, because you are a very easygoing guy, Jake.
But hang on, so if I'm concerned and you're concerned, should Carlton's Knights be concerned?
No, absolutely not.
No, absolutely not.
They're cool as, cool as a cucumber.
They should be pretty pleased then. They're doing a lot right if we're concerned.
Yes. So a drone in down below here for Josh. He'll probably be the primary lurk here for Carlton's Knights. He may be greeted though by Logic and Too Hard. Dual roam off site down below. Josh needs to be quite careful here as Too Hard is actually going to stay in this VIP position. It will probably be a bit of a standoff though for most of this round. Logic will reposition over towards mining to get a bit of information on the rappel. Should be able to call out if there's any claymores on these windows. And perhaps an opportunity for some late round aggression. But Worthy gets sat down by Log.
Up to 8 now for Lettuce Log. Too Hard should be good as well for this shot. A longer range distance shot does get rid of Josh, and the two top fraggers for Carlton's Knights are now on the side. 5 versus 3. Makes it virtually impossible now, you would imagine, for Carlton's Knights, barring really RRR throwing the round somewhere, maybe even throwing it twice. Player down towards Pillar. Pat's got to be careful. He doesn't overstep the mark, but he's obviously trying to reach out and find something in this round. Their two best fraggers. They're in the grave. Flash out from Pat. They deal with the barbed wire. They haven't cleared a whole lot. Proxy alarm to suggest that he's made his way through. Done so well. The Doc tried to get Pinku back up anyway. It doesn't matter. Round's over. Match point. 2 of which are on the side of RRR, and they are just slowly grinding this out here on Cafe. They've been challenged somewhat, but the challenges have been dealt with.
Yeah, defensive Cafe proving to be too difficult for Carlton's Knights to deal with. Started out with Logic down below, playing a very active role, and then Too Hard. I don't know if he caught Josh off guard. Josh may have had some read, but nonetheless, he won that fight. Carlton's Knights then transitioning to try and flood site, especially with the souls down below, meant that they could not plant default. Second floor now, once again, available for RRR to close out this game and get all 3 points.
Yeah, and that again just then says, over to you, Bliss. You've got to keep doing what we're doing all the way to that final play day, to that final match. Means that Bliss cannot stumble, they cannot fall. What are they, 2 points behind RRR? So as long as they stay within 2 points all the way to that final game, a regulation win would be enough for Bliss, and can therefore even bypass any and all round differential factors.
Yep.
In fact, so I guess
round diff only comes into play if one of the teams stumble.
Yes.
That's the simplest way to explain it.
Yep. If it gets to a point where, say, there's a 3-point gap going into the last game, a regulation win for Bliss might not be enough if round diff is in favor of RRR. That as an example. For now, though, that is not too much of a matter. And for RRR, I think they've probably thwarted off their last real competition until that said match.
And they have the innate advantage in that match already with the point lead.
Well, they do have Nate.
That OT would be enough for them in that game. And I think that's a very significant advantage.
In Nate advantage, because they've got Nate.
Navy Bean Nate.
Navy Bean Nate, yeah. He's been good in this game as well.
Yeah.
Good old Nate.
I've enjoyed Nate.
It's actually been a really well-rounded performance when you kind of look across the KDA. They've all had good moments as well. Nate on the Montang in the first half. Eddie with a couple of really good Nitro cells. Logic is Logic. Too Hard has been very impactful on a lot of the entry kills in that first half too, and pretty strong defensively. And Pinku has been very good too. So a well-rounded performance from RRR. That's been, I think, the differentiating factor between the two teams. As great as Carlton's Knights have been this stage, and the fact that they did take down Bliss back on the first week of the league, they haven't quite been able to reach those heights since, and have not been able to really challenge RRR in this match despite the scoreline. It's not often I say a 6-4 scoreline probably isn't all that true. I think this is probably closer to a 6-3.
Oh,
and
that's
Josh,
nice.
though, does at least get a kill onto Eddie. Well, let's not count this game over just yet, though. Every chance that Knights could still find a way to get a 5th round.
So Pinku's already used his Nitro, but Nate still has one in pocket, and we know how impactful those have been so far in this game, so keep that in mind. Pinku with a line of sight, launching up above. That's to try and counteract the player that's still on that east rappel. Minute to go, and he's forced back. So Carlton's Knights are applying good pressure here onto this defensive setup at the moment. Another boogie goes out. So more vertical in towards reading, flushing these defenders out into not particularly great positions, but Carlton's Knights need to be there to pounce on them and do some damage.
40 seconds left. Nate. That's the last Boogie Auto Breacher that has been expended by Vincia. Can the Knights force a way to send this one to overtime? Pat into sight. He has been able to sneak in to get this down too hard towards Pillar. Campo hadn't spotted him. He was the flank watcher. Good second shot as well. Now 3v3. It's a retake though. So the plant has been successful. Josh gets the kill onto Nate. They should know that Pinku's white stairs now, and they will know. Logic activates that air jab. So it's going to be surely a Knights round win. Pinku tries to force the issue. One above, one below, on site. That's Pat, and he stands tall. It's down to just Logic in the 1 versus 3. 20 seconds left. Oh, the spray doesn't work for Lockdog. Some laughs there for Carlton's Knights. A little 360 spin from Vinny into pillars, and he gets the kill with the shotgun. 6-5. Yes, it's still match point, but now 1 round away from going to overtime, and that's something Bliss would love.
Clean from the Knights. Nice Exy.
Get styled on, kid.
Really good pressure on the top floor. They got good vert. And Vinny, funnily enough, got great value from those auto breaches, I feel. You saw RRR there trying to navigate themselves into positions where they weren't exposed to the vert. That's why Pillar and 90, etc. became really important positions. But then Vinny was there to cut them down. He's stayed up above, which was the right play. Plant then went deep. Logic not in a position to deny because obviously he couldn't from above. So again, relatively simple and straightforward from the Knights, but just clinical really in the end. And they just pushed the envelope a little further in this one.
I want a simple yes or no. Do they send this one to overtime? It's kitchen.
Let's look at the lineups, the objective. Let's run some computations.
Whoa. Have you had to sit on the fence?
No.
No.
7-5.
7-5 for RRR. That is, though, of course, not a certainty. Don't switch off, don't switch away. It does need to be played out, and there is every chance that Guz may be wrong.
Probably.
Probably?
I don't know. It's a close game. It's been a funny old one.
It has. I feel like, and it's not to sound rude, but a lot of the rounds that Carlton's Knights have won, they've been a bit of a surprise. Like, they kind of look a little down and out. Like, the first 2 rounds that we saw from RRR was just amazing. Flawless, clean siege, and then Knights go and win a couple of scrappy rounds. So they haven't never really gone and won these super clean, like 5v1s, and they've dominated the round. If they can do that here, boy, that would make things interesting going into overtime. Now, Pinku's taken some damage, half health for the remainder of this. So already advantage over to the Knights in hopes of sending this one to overtime in hindering RRR's, well, somewhat almost perfect record at the stage. Only once they've gone to overtime. And that was a win.
RRR committing to a bit more of an off-site setup here for the final round of regulation. That's now forcing Carlton's Knights to go from top down, which is the expected counterplay here from the attack. And top 4 not being contested, so we're now going to see that soft breach really come into play. Nate inside of train. Log coming across to Dining to support, playing full off on the hatch. These 2 players for RRR have a huge role in burning time for the attack.
Well, this match has been about moments. Andy with the Nitro Cell, Josh with the 1v4. Who's going to be the next one to sort of stand up? That drone just being an absolute pest for Logic. 5 drones still remaining, 60 seconds into the round. Information still critically available for the Knights. Vincia just makes his way past mid-white stairs. Nate hides in mining. Is this the first confrontation? Worthy seems like he knows. He does know. He's got the pings. That'll be a quick headshot. Opening kill goes the way of Carlton's Knights, 5 versus 4, with 45 seconds remaining.
So time now the biggest factor for the attack. Can they establish that vert, maybe find one more pick, get it back to a 5 versus 3. Pinku's still inside of Bakery, taken low before. However, he's still in a strong position. Reinforcement stands. 30 seconds on the clock here for Carlton's Knights. This is going to need to be a clinical push through Bakery.
It's a double stack push. Flashes out. They haven't cleared Pinku. He still has to watch that small Bakery window, though. It's a push from Pat. Where's the trade? Has to be Swift, and it's not. Pinku, that was so clean to get the double, to give them the advantage, to stop that push. Worthy's got to go quick and fast to clear Coat. Does. Now 3v3, but 8 seconds. Red time. That's the biggest thing. Diffuser's down. Over towards that entry into Bakery. You can't. No time remaining. That's it. It's going to be RRR. 7-5. Heartbreak loss for the Knights. Heartbreak indeed. All 3 points secured in a very close, tense finish for RRR. 7-5 victory for not the first time this stage for the Rapid Response Regiment. And they move forward onto 14 points for